you want to write your response in plain language. You need to use clear and concise language or clear and concise writing. So try to get away from using like industry jargon or like industry speak. Now, in some cases, using industry jargon and industry speak is actually more beneficial. Like if you're working on A&E type contracts, architecture and engineering, or design build type, contracts, or those things like that, then by all means, even like most construction projects, you need to talk, right? Because that's the language of the environment. However, if you're a highly technical scientist and you do a lot of field work or a lot of environmental work in the field, and you use technical speak and jargon and abbreviations, and then when you're submitting your proposal you do the same thing, that's the government's not going to understand what you're saying. So like in this example that basically I'm giving is you want to translate your language in a way that the reader, any basic reading person, can understand what you're saying and the point that you're trying to get across. You don't want the proposal to be laden with fluff and just weighted down with this extra information that really has no benefit to your solution in the sense of supporting your solution or your team, and it has no benefit for the government in making a decision on your solution or your team or just your effort in general to meet their requirement. So really it's just kind of wasting everybody's time in a sense. Number one, you didn't have to write it. You could have saved that time and did something else, and the government didn't have to necessarily review it. And so what I'm suggesting here is that maybe what you do is, take that out and either use the white space, because white space is very good in writing. And it's actually really helpful, particularly when you're using clear and concise writing, like when you're using bullet lists and tables here and there, right? You can structure it in such a way that it's easy for the reader to get through your information and that they can capture the information quite easily. So keep in mind that when your proposal is being submitted, the evaluators are reading it and they're taking information out of your proposal, in some cases like words, and then they're maybe putting that in their report, and then they're expounding on that because that thing was the thing that stood out to them, whether as a strength or a weakness and whatever, and then they make a comment about it to support their write-up in your scoring compared to section L and M and the instructions and the evaluation factors, and then compared to the statement of work, and they're going to write how close you came to meeting that, and like I just said, putting that information into their report. They're going to that will help them to then ultimately make their decision. So make sure that you're having clear, concise language. Use plain language as much as possible when submitting your proposals. Do not use extremely large or big words. A big word here or there is fine, like I was mentioning earlier, if it's used for effect and and it has that effect, and sure, all day long, go for it. But if it's just there just to kind of be there, I would say it's more of a distraction than it is helpful, because if there are too many phrases, words, comments, things that the government's not going to understand, and that person is going to kind of somewhat shut down a little bit because they're not going to be as attentive because they don't understand. It's not something that they're familiar with. So to the point, they're familiar with plain language, and that's why I'm recommending that as one of the things that you do, and that is a proposal expectation, right? Many times you will see that writing in the solicitation that says, do not put extra fluff, plain language. Just answer the questions and kind of keep it simple in that regard.